Okay. I'm not going to try to describe this hairstyle. I'm not going to try to describe the pale face. We're not going to go there. I had a lot of fun with my body wash tonight, so I think I might have scrubbed part of my tan away, but that is nor here or there. Um, Topics I want to unpack tonight are how do you say it? What it looks like to be in a healthy relationship. What it looks like what it feels like. Two clips that I want to unpack today. The first clip, a guy, the Fresh and Fit guy's Myron. He's basically talking about how average girls, so fives or sixes, are so accustomed to being in relationships that when they are not in a relationship anymore, they freak out. They don't know how to deal with it. Now, I think this is important to talk about for a couple of reasons because wherever I go in society, nobody ever knows what to do with me. Like I don't fit in any of the boxes. So like I don't conform to like European beauty standards because I'm not white. And here's the thing that and I always have to like make this distinction. Like there's in the black society being like closer to whiteness, like the paler you are in skin complexion is beautiful. Like but that is such a poverty mentality because like just imagine like we all have access to Sephora now, right? So like we all probably kind of have a general idea of like what you could buy to literally make yourself like more beautiful. um Skin lightening cream isn't, at least in America, it's not really the thing that like you're not, nobody's really buying that. Maybe they are, I don't know. I will say like contouring maybe is the thing. But there's like a lot of like foundation colors. There's like, eyeshadows. There's like blush, lip gloss, all types of other shit that you could use that could really like make you bad or like super bad. Actually, I'll do some stitching tonight. Here's me before makeup. I'm actually going to put on, I don't do a full face of makeup, but I'll put on like some eyeshadow and some blush just so you guys can like literally see the difference.
Being honest that he's a horrible person. If these men don't like you, if they don't respect you, if they're not happy in that relationship, they're telling their boys the truth. I'm not into her. I'm thinking about leaving her. They will not post pictures with you. And even if they do, it's going to be some half-assed picture where they're leaning away or you're just showing the back of their head or whatever. They're not going to take you anywhere. They're not going to show you off. And for the most part, you will feel it, okay? They might lie to you in order to keep taking advantage of the things that you're giving them, whether it's sex, cooking for them, shelter, taking care of their kids. So they might lie to you because they need what you're giving, but you will feel the difference. You will know, hey, this person doesn't like being around me. They're not showing me off. They're really not very affectionate or loving. You will know. We are not stupid either. We know, we just deny the truth and we make up these stories in our head to try to give ourselves comfort. Like we'll say, oh, he's just afraid of commitment. Oh, no, he just doesn't like you.
Relationships were unappreciative, bitchy, crass, that quite frankly don't deserve you. If you're, all 9,000 plus you motherfuckers right now that are listening, if you're in a relationship with a girl that doesn't you, doesn't suck you, doesn't cook for you, doesn't clean for you, doesn't provide any value to the relationship, I need you to look hard at the mirror and realize that you are fucking up in life. Okay? Because let me tell y'all motherfuckers something. If a woman is dealing with you, I know for a fact you bring some type of value to some degree. Maybe you emotionally stimulate her. Maybe you have financial security. Maybe you're tall. Maybe you're attractive. Maybe you're in good shape, etc. Maybe you have a strong masculine presence. I know you bring value. But here's the thing. If you're with a woman, I don't know if she brings you value because guys will sit there and accept mediocrity for women all the time. So I'm here to tell you guys, you need to have a critical thinking moment right now. Is your girl being feminine, submissive, friendly, not embarrassing you, cooking for you, being a good, dutiful woman, exercising fidelity, not giving you headache, not making you lose hair follicles like I do on After Hours? Is she doing all these things? If the answer is no to any of them, you need to seriously reevaluate what the fuck you're doing in life and be ready to kick that to the curb and find one that will.
Okay, so this is kind of like a very light makeup. I don't do like drag queen type makeup. Very light. But okay. So you can kind of see the little difference that I made here, right? I had a point. I don't remember what I was saying about the makeup. Anyway, let's keep going with this. So, oh shit, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, okay. So Myron was talking about how these average like 5 and 6 girls they've always been in relationships, right? So now there's like one point in time they're not in a relationship anymore, and it's like, what the fuck do? They don't even know how to deal. They don't know how to deal. Now, why is this? Why is this a thing? Why does this happen? Like, why? And why is this important to talk about? Okay, so this is important to talk about because for average girls, when they grow up, they like, people really do have an ambition to, like, especially girls. Like, if you grow up like super girly and you are raised in like traditional mainstream society, like, you have whole goals of like wanting to be like paired up, have a husband, basically be a stay-at-home mom. That's like the goal. Like, being a whole food stay-at-home mom is like a superhero status to so many people, to so many girls. Okay, but obviously, like, not everyone's gonna get that. Though, like, if with all things being equal, there's like the Whole Foods mom who's at the top. But then below that, there's maybe like the Safeway mom. And then below that, there's like the Publix mom. And then maybe below that, there's like the Kroger mom. Right? And those are just like income tier levels based on how much money your husband's making, your partner's making. But like, just because you don't marry the guy who can afford Whole Foods prices, that doesn't mean that like you're not supposed to like live a life at all, or being a mom or a stay-at-home mom isn't a thing. Like, we have whole TV shows about this, like Roseanne, Boy Meets World, and then what would be, I don't know, maybe Jasmine Tookes would be like the Whole Foods mom at the top of the pyramid. And then you got Roseanne at the bottom, and then you got like Boy Meets World, that sort of family in the middle. Now, okay, the reason that I feel like this actually doesn't apply for like black women and really a lot of women of color, all of the like kind of politics that they're talking about here, it doesn't apply because we actually don't have any examples of like, it's not normal in the black community for like beautiful women to get married and have children. I'm so sorry. Like, the thing that we see in the black community that's normal is for like beautiful black women die. So we have the example of like that black supermodel, her baby daddy husband, whoever he is, he left her with a baby. He doesn't want the baby. Like, so I'm assuming this is a black guy. So black guys don't like babies with supermodels. Also, we got to be clear here. In no other community is this like a thing where like the most beautiful women, the most like attractive women are the ones who are like being treated like shit, basically. Like, I mean, not all the time, not at the levels that we see in the black community, but okay, let's just keep going with this. And so if we know that like basically these like really average 5 and 6 girls in American society are like paired up and are in relationships, but what you see, the reason that these guys are gravitating toward Fresh and Fit is because like there are guys who are like in relationships and they're like watching Fresh and Fit silently. So Fresh and Fit guys are saying things that these guys can't say out loud because like otherwise their girlfriends would like leave them. Like, no girl's gonna stay with a guy who's like, bitch, you're fat, you're ugly, you're super average, you're like awful, you're blah blah blah. Like, as you see, like when guys are saying this shit to like women on the internet, they just block them and they don't talk to them anymore. So obviously if you say that to someone and you're in a relationship with, they're gonna leave you. You see how that works? The other thing that's just very strange with like Instagram and all the things, like, it has caused like men have like a very skewed perception of reality. Like a lot of people, and I've been saying this for a while, a lot of people are not into fashion. So and like beauty, but like there's magazines. There's like like the September issue of Vogue is out now. It's September. This, if you're into fashion and you're not talking about the September issue of Vogue, what are you doing? Like that is kind of one of the major fashion events of the year. Like I have questions. Um but you know what I'm saying? Like, so I feel like those of us who've been following fashion kind of understand beauty in a lot of its forms, in a lot of its different colors. This is why I'll continue to make content about like Leah Kibiti and me really on this channel, to make more space for like brown skin, like Ethiopian girls, because our beauty just doesn't really align with necessarily like Black American beauty, and it also doesn't align with like white European beauty, but it's definitely something else, and it's something to be like appreciated and praised and given space to. And I feel like quite a lot of African girls are starting to understand that. Like in America, or even in Canada or any other part of the developed world, you have access to like makeup and beauty regimens that are of color. Like you have foundations in your color palette. You have contour and blush that would match your color palette. Like people don't have that on the continent. It's really hard to get that. So the fact that you have it is actually very useful for you to like use it and like share imagery and stuff of that, because it's actually very valuable. Like you are the prototype. Like I am a prototype for, you know, other it, girls like me. Okay, like Black African girls with obviously really thick, frizzy, curly hair. Okay, like we have these struggles. Everyone doesn't have these struggles. And like you guys, and like I said, I'm not like, no shade to even Manuel, who thinks that like I'm unattractive and ugly and stuff. Like I've had, when you work in fashion and beauty industries like that, especially as a model, like you hear that you're ugly all the time. Like, you know, it's okay, Manuel. Like I've heard Levi's and like, you know, Old Navy tell me that they don't say you're ugly exactly, but they say things that are like, please fix this shit about yourself so that you can become more beautiful. And you hear that enough times and you really do start to humble yourself. But the thing that gets really strange, and I feel like actually I was going to make a video about this, but I'm going to save it. Just because I want to really like write about it and make it make some sense. I didn't know this, but there's a comedian creator, Andrew Schultz, and he is on another podcast. I think it's called The Random Idiots or something with Charlemagne. But his parents owned a dance studio. Now, so he was saying, I watch his clips sometimes, and he was saying something about dancers, because I was in art school for a very long time. I did ballet and modern and hip hop and all these things. And growing up in the dance studio, they're like, even though fashion modeling's brutal, dance is pretty fucking brutal too. There's nothing quite like ballet to like break you in a lot of ways. Okay, like being told that you're fat like every day, or you know, talking about posture, talking about weight, talking about a lot of shit that will reinforce every day that like you are not good enough, you are just too whatever. It is a whole thing. It is a real ball buster. And I'm saying that to say like ballerinas and dancers have the lowest self-esteem out of all women, even though ballerinas are kind of like the most beautiful, like traditionally in all the ways, right? They have really beautiful bodies. They have very elegant like statue, and obviously any type of dancer who's like very focused on her craft. There's a lot with posture, and I mean, I'm not gonna really talk about like exotic dancing, but I will say like things like ballet, tap, modern, Horton. Like you're literally just, it's physical exercise all day. So just like any other sport, I feel like we have this. We've seen athletes, like female athletes, and we can understand how like hard they work on their body, you know, and how important that is. It's a very similar sort of situation for dancers, right, who also work pretty hard on their bodies, and it's important for them to stay in shape. Anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, so there's another video that I wanted to talk about as well. So there's a woman who's basically talking about how, like, women will come online, women will be in very bad relationships, basically, where their partners do not love or appreciate them. And they will come online and talk about how, like, they are so happy and their men love them. Like, and the weird part is, like, on the same token, like, those men will go to their friends and be completely honest about the way that they feel about some woman. So, you know, they'll say, oh, she's this and I hate her. She gets on my nerves. She does this, whatever it is, right? But the thing is, like, men will hate certain things about a woman. They won't appreciate her. They won't show her off. They won't take her out. They won't do anything to, like, mm, they won't physically commit the actions to symbolize that they love this woman. But they'll remain in a relationship with the woman. And she was basically the woman who's making this video unpacks the way that, like, they're the man in this case who's basically unhappy in this relationship will stay in the relationship because of the things that he's being offered. So it could be sex, it could be, like, you know, a woman who's cleaning his home, it could be financial reasons, she's paying the bills, like, she's warm, she listens, there's all of these things. And to me what she was saying was, like, a really good summary of, like, the things that women bring to the table in relationships, which I feel like actually Myron was saying the same thing. So they were both talking, they were, like, basically talking about, like when people were talking about, like, femininity, and he was talking about, like, access to sex. Like, something that I do think that is really sad is, like, so many people are in sexless relationships, or they just have really awful sex lives, but they stay with their partner for, maybe it could be respectability politics, maybe it could be, like, social reasons, but I feel like a lot more people should realize that it's okay to be single. And, like, and what I mean, and I mean that to say, like, maybe if your sex life has been that awful, especially if you're, like, I feel like women can go a whole lifetime without sex and live a perfectly fine life. I don't know if it's the same for men. I feel like things just start to happen with men where they just kind of they go, like, off the Richter when, like, they don't get access to sex. I feel like that's what I've seen. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. But I do feel like there are enough people in society, both men and women, that, like, people should have access to sex. Like, I think we should probably have more open conversations about that. And I think that, like, maybe when people are entering relationships, they should be a little bit more honest about, like, wanting to have a sex life if that's what they want to have. Another thing I think is just probably useful to know, like, lots of men keep talking about how, like, they value prudency and, like, low body counts and things like that. I'm not saying that those things are bad, but I will say that there's a pretty large portion of society, like, in female society, prudency and, like, basically non-sexual anything is kind of like the gold standard. So there's no, like, I know a lot of people who are in relationships where they don't even, they live in the same home but they don't share a bedroom. So they have, like, each of the people has their own bedroom. They don't sleep in the same bed. It's definitely, like, a sexless relationship, but that is, I don't know how men actually feel about this, but that is the thing that's happening. And, like, we see, like, society is still going forward. Like, maybe men are just getting all of their wishes fulfilled by OnlyFans, but then I don't know, I feel like there are some men who are in really healthy relationships where they, like, really like their partners and they have great sex lives with their partners, and therefore, like, they're able to talk about, like, sex with their partners. So it's kind of like it just works. I don't know, I can't really speak for everyone, but I definitely feel like for me, there's two things that I don't like in relationships. I don't like being treated like arm candy, where people just drag me around places and then, like, I'm just not supposed to talk, and you know what I'm saying? You're just supposed to, like, sit there and look pretty. I'm personally not really interested in that. I feel like I I don't want to be like one of the boys or anything like that, but I just feel like I am genuinely a fun and interesting person to be around. So I want to be with someone who just can appreciate my personality, because I actually do have a personality and I'm not like super lame and boring. And if you don't like my personality, like this is another reason I started this channel. Like I think my takes on some shit are just so funny and like kind of outrageous, and like I really feel this way. I'm not saying I'm not open to change, because like I totally am, but like for right now, I genuinely feel this way. And like you're probably not going to change it, right? I'm probably going to feel this way. And like, yeah, I think that people really don't think that like I do, or that I'm joking or something when I say that I feel this way. I really do. I really do. Okay, there was something else I was going. Sorry, that was pushing my boob up. um, um, Oh, and I also don't like bad sex. Like if I'm in a relationship with someone and I just feel like they're like a stingy lover, an awful lover, the sex is bad, I don't come, we're breaking up. Like it isn't gonna work out. Like it isn't gonna happen. Like, and I feel like I can pretty much tell pretty quickly. You know, like I also don't like. I feel like I tried this a couple times in my life. Like, oh, like maybe I will grow to like this person. Like, you know, you'll hang out with a person for like a day, a couple days, and you'll be like, oh, huh. Like, he's not that attractive, but maybe he's funny. And it's like, he's not even funny. It's just like, kill the vibe, kill the shit. Like, I can't do it. Like, I tried to compromise too, where I'm like, oh, maybe, I don't know, he has this and he doesn't have that. And I don't know. No. Like, I need to be, like, physically attracted to someone, first of all. Like, I don't know. Like, I like that. I like to be in intimate relationships where, like, there's a devouring sort of thing that goes on. Like when you see me, you're like, I have to have her. Like that. Like, I like that. Like, those are relationships that I like to be in. And those relationships I have been in. And if I choose to be in any more relationships, those are the relationships I will continue to have. I don't want like lukewarm, mediocre bullshit. Like, I want people who are like mixed steamy and who look at me and are like, damn, oh my God. That's what I like. So I also, and I've said this before, like, I don't really have a type. Like, I don't have like, there's not one guy who I'm looking at and I'm like, yeah, just gotta look like that. I feel like the sexiest person alive to me, I probably haven't even seen them yet. Even on the internet. I honestly think so. Because I think that I could pick out a guy from any group and be like, ooh, yes, he's super hot. Like, any group, any ethnicity, any shade, any religion, I could pick out a really hot guy from any of them. Anyway, yeah, so I kind of just wanted to say that to kind of point to this idea of like actions, as in like there are physical things, like it's mostly just doing shit out in the world, going to dinner, going to coffee, taking walks, being out in the world with a person. If a guy is like spending time with you and then spending money on you, like he likes you. If he's not doing those things, he doesn't like you. So if you're in a relationship with a guy who doesn't ever take you out, he doesn't ever talk to you, he doesn't ever take you anywhere, you're not going to dinner, he doesn't like you, and you should get out of that relationship. No matter how long you've been in the relationship, which is another reason I feel like I gotta say, like, I don't agree with the conservatives here, because they keep saying you should stay in your marriage. Stay in your unhappy marriage. Oh, stay in your unhappy marriage. Like, why? Like, what? I'm sorry, like, if you like look at the other person and you're like, I fucking hate your guts. Like, the only thing that's on the other end of that is some domestic violence where somebody's gonna hit someone. It's gonna be emotional violence where people are like doing all type of like microaggression type of shit where like, you know, they're taking advantage and making other people feel bad and slight slurs and all that shit is like bad. It's bad for both people. And then there's like a thing where like, how do you say? You can just take care of yourself. And I feel like when you take care of yourself for long enough, your values actually might change. Like when you're still living at home with your parents, this is for men or women, and you have this idea of like, oh, I want a girlfriend who, like, humor is the most important trait to me. Or if you're like a girl, you're like, I want a boyfriend who's super into athletics. He has to be like an athlete or something. And then you get older and like you see athletes or something who have concussions, and you see that like they lose brain capacity when they turn 40, and you're like, oh my god, I don't want to actually deal with that. That sounds awful. Now all of a sudden you don't like sports players anymore, right? Or you realize like, oh my god, I actually need a stimulating conversation, because I've been doing these booktube channels. I've been watching them for like 5 years, and now if I don't have a book, if a guy doesn't like, allowing me to like have my booktube channel, I don't know whatever your thing is, right? Or you actually might value financial stability. You might realize like over everything else, like, I actually just need a guy who's going to like provide the bills. The other things I feel like I could compromise on, or maybe you won't. I don't know. Like, I couldn't speak for you about where your values stand. But if you give yourself some time where you have some time with yourself, I really honestly feel like you will start to understand where and what your values are. But you have to give yourself an opportunity to do that. And a lot of people aren't, because they're jumping into relationships prematurely that they don't need to be in. And that's a real thing. And that's a fucking problem. We need to like talk about that as being a fucking problem. That's a real problem. And it like doesn't need to be this way. There's no reason that you should just be in an awful ass relationship, because you could just not.